There's a Belgian chocolate link, that's the reason.
Yes.
And they were actually bought from Belgium last week, so they are genuine. I know. Of course. Thank you. Good afternoon, everybody. My name's Fran Gray, and I'm Head of Learning and Development for Phoenix Futures. I'd just like to take a moment to introduce my colleagues. Nicola Owen is our Service Manager from our Wirral Residential Service. James Middleton also works at the Wirral Residential Service, and Stuart Shaw here has come as a family member, and they will each speak in turn shortly. So Phoenix Futures is a leading drug and alcohol charity in the UK, and we have over 800 staff in over 70 services, from Scotland to Hampshire, the Wirral to Northumberland, Derby to Norwich, and many other places in between. Our services are in three sectors: community services, residential rehab services, including a unique family service, and prison services. This actually is a picture of Bob Campbell, who has been working for Phoenix for over 25 years and been in recovery himself for over 35, and was in one of our original services way back in the day. We've been around for over 45 years, and we're not actually the biggest provider of drug and alcohol services in the UK, but we're second or third now, but we strive to be the best. And we can show this because we recently were awarded the Gold IIP Award. In 2012 we won the Third Sector Employer of the Year Award, and in 2013 our very own James Middleton was Volunteer of the Year with the Third Sector Awards. Jimmy he'll speak later, but he did volunteer for us, but now he's employed with us. And we won the Training Journal Awards for this very project last year. So we're good, we can prove it, we have proved it, but we're not an organisation to sit back on our laurels. Oh no, things change all the time, and we embrace change. Services change, staff change, drugs of choice change, trends change, addiction changes, service users change, commissioners change, and funding changes. So we have to keep up with this. So with this in mind, we thought, I wonder what they're doing over there. And over there, I mean in Europe, apart from drinking very strong coffee, eating pasta, and of course Belgian chocolates. So we found out that they had already been moving staff around to work in other like-for-like services across other countries. And they said, come and join us. So we said, bonjour, we will. So we joined the ECETT Networks, Education and Companionship Training Through Travel, ECETT. And they had no links with the UK at this time, and so we became their UK help desk. Our first project, we got EU funding to send 15 staff to 5 different countries for placements for 1 or 2 weeks to work in like-for-like services, addiction services. They went to Poland, Spain, Belgium and Greece. Staff went in groups of 3 and visited services across the 3 sectors and worked in these services alongside their staff. They had to work a 35-hour week and brought home a certificate to show that at the end of it if they went for 1 or 2 weeks. They did have the weekend off in the middle, which was particularly nice for those who went to Spain. The aim of their trip primarily was to observe best practice, at least one example, and bring it home and implement in their service, hopefully across the organisation, and roll it out for the benefit of staff, service users and everyone. Nicola will shortly give you an example of what she brought back when she travelled to Belgium. After the success of that project, the first project ended in 2013. 2013 we got funding to send 24 staff to another set of countries, including Dublin, Italy, Portugal, the Czech Republic, and they also invited me to be on the board of ECETT Networks. So I'm going to hand you over to Nicola, who I said is our service manager at our residential rehab on the Wirral, and she's going to tell you about her Flames project.
Afternoon everyone, hope the Belgian chocolates are going down a treat. So as Fran said, we were part of this ECETT project 2 years ago, and when the invite went out to all of the staff about applying to go across Europe, obviously I jumped at the chance, not really understanding what we were going to be part of. So I had the opportunity of going over to Belgium, and I visited a drug and alcohol and rehabilitation unit over there, very similar to the one that I manage over on the Wirral. And as much as we dedicate a vast amount of our time and commitment to our service users, there was an element of me that came away from Belgium thinking we don't do enough for families and significant others of those that are currently in treatment and are really suffering. So I came back and I had a bit of a brainstorm with my team, and we came up with a family group that I wanted to roll out across my service, and I called this Flames, and I had a bit of a light bulb moment as well. So it's families and loved ones accessing mutual and emotional support. The groups have been running for approximately 18 months now, and not only do we run it at the Wirral, the organisation itself has also asked for it to be rolled out across the prison services that we run and also community services that we run. And I wanted family members to get a sense that they weren't alone and they had other people there that were going through exactly the same struggle. I don't want to take up too much of the time that we've got, because I believe that it's not about me, it's about the family members that we support. So Mr. Shaw has come along to give his testament of how the group has helped him. Thank you.
Good afternoon everyone. As you've been told, my name is Stuart Shaw. My youngest son was saved by the Phoenix programme. Where do I begin? The worst period was through most of the year 2012. My family went through an emotional nightmare because of our son's addictions. There was a lot of anger, and it caused many arguments between my wife and I. Due to the steepness of the stairs leading up to the flat he lived in, his mother couldn't visit him. So I was the only family member who visited on a regular basis. I alone could see the steady and shocking deterioration in his health and mental state. Couldn't do anything about it. By March 2013, I honestly thought he would not last any longer, and I was planning his funeral on Monday, and I was going to pay for it. However, on Monday, the 11th of March 2013, excuse me, he was admitted to our local hospital. After 5 weeks as an inpatient, he was allocated a place at the Phoenix programme in Sheffield. We visited a couple of times. Although I was grateful that he'd been given a chance, I have to say I remained sceptical as to whether he could overcome his addictions. My son was eventually moved to the Phoenix house on the Wirral, and that is where things really changed, for the better. We visited regularly, and we were able to take his 2 young children with us. I was truly amazed at what I saw and heard during our visits. The honesty and openness of the other residents there made me think that maybe, just maybe, there was a possibility with the right help and guidance, he could overcome his addictions. However, by far the greatest insight I got into what the future held for us was when we were invited to a family day. We attended a meeting at Phoenix House along with other people whose family members were addicted and going through the same rehab process as our son. It enabled us to gain a better understanding of the way other families were coping with the different problems a family member's addiction could create. We also had the opportunity to listen to a staff member who had been through the same process as our son, who had overcome their addiction and made a success of their life. I personally found this experience quite strange to start with, because I had never discussed my son's addictions with anybody other than family members and really close friends. My wife and I benefited a great deal from this and consequent meetings with other relatives. It gave us as a family, for the first time in many, many months, hope. Not just hope for our son, but hope for us as a family unit, his brothers and in-laws. It made us see that we were not alone and our situation was far from unique. It's true to say that that one day, the first meeting with other families and the staff, changed my whole outlook for the better. I and my family will be eternally grateful for that opportunity and the hope it gave us. Thank you.
Thanks, Stuart. I've just invited along as well a colleague of mine, Jimmy, and again, he's just going to give a few words about the group that we run.
Yeah, I'll make this quick. Stay with them fellas. You're probably a lovely lady, but you're scaring me.
Oh, is that over time? Oh, sorry,
we're out of time. Is it all right if people ask you some questions?
Of course, yeah.
So, can we open it up for questions?
What are you going to say next? That's a great question. I rocked up at Phoenix House on the Wirral about 4 years ago now as a service user. 2 Tesco carrier bags, one full of dirty clothes and one full of bad attitude. Was lucky enough to meet some people who cared a lot more about me than I did at the time. And why I'm so passionate about running these Flames family group days is because all through my own addiction, my family had nowhere to go, nobody to speak to, culminating in my own mother having a breakdown at work because she told a lot of lies to cover up what I was doing, was very embarrassed about it all, and it made her quite ill. So when I spoke to Mr. and Mrs. Shaw, I was seeing my mum sat there, hoping that people's families are going to get what my family needed, but couldn't find anywhere at the time, basically.
Other questions to Elizabeth Hunt?
I just want to say thank you. I'm hugely inspired by just all of your stories and the work that you're doing at Phoenix and volunteering and what the ECETT program has provided as well. I guess the other thing that I just wanted to comment on is how amazing the application of learning has been. So it's been wonderful. It's not even a question, I'm just saying, I think it's really amazing to see the inspiration that you got from Belgium and then see how much it's benefited in your own service. So long may it continue.
I'm hoping for Monaco next year.
Could I ask about other practices that you've imported from
Yes, surely I can answer that, but on the back of your handout, I knew that somebody would ask the question, as there's been so many travellers to Europe. And there's several examples on the back of your handout, so that's why I did give a handout. So, and I can certainly, if you've got any questions about them, but there's been so many, from leaflets being printed in different languages, from feelings boards in residential services to peer support groups. That's really so many. But there's testimonies on the back of the handout.
I've got a question. What has been the greatest learning for you on this journey?
For Phoenix or for people, I haven't travelled
that Nicola has?
I think for me it was appreciating that we are part of a massive family. The model that we facilitate at the residential is a therapeutic community model, so it's very much CBT based. And before my trip, I felt that we kind of worked in isolation quite a bit, going on to Europe, and then consequential trips that have led on from that. I felt that I was part of a bigger programme, a bigger process, a bigger family. So we've been able to keep in touch and continue to share best practice.
And some people from Europe, it's not a job swap, but people in the ECETT network do come and visit our services. And that's it, it's a two-way thing.
Fabulous. Thank you so much for everything you're sharing and for what you're doing, great work. One question I have is this: these two stories stemmed from your son and you yourself who came to the facility. Is there a program where you're reaching out to families who are affected by siblings or children who are addicted, without the children being willing to be a part of a rehab program?
The children being part of the treatment.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have
Like
a
reaching
family.
out to families who, so for example, your mother,
Yep.
do you reach out to people who would like to get help, but potentially you had never gone into the
I see
the
what
program?
you're saying. We also, as well as the residential service, we have a community service in every area. We have the residentials that work out in the non-residential settings. So then families are welcome to come to our Flames groups as well.
And we have a family service where parents of one or the other, or both parents, can go with their children and live there and have treatment.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank
Thank you
you.
very much.
So again, we have 5 minutes, 5 minutes to talk. Thank you. Just to reflect and any thoughts. We've got 5 minutes now and then we're going into a break.
Components and cars.